My beloved child, there are moments in the flow of life that may seem ordinary, but in reality, they are filled with pivotal turns. It is in these moments that the invisible veil between peace and danger becomes thin, and each decision you make could shape the entire path ahead. In such times, I long to draw you near, to whisper, to stir, and to save you. For I see things that your eyes have never witnessed. I hear the echoes from the depths that mortal ears cannot perceive, and I am aware of the dangers that lie in wait for you along life's journey. Do not think that these words are empty warnings, for each syllable carries the breath of an unchanging love. As Psalm 1:2-1:7 to the 8th of December lares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." I do not speak these words to cause you fear, but to offer you the opportunity to choose life, to understand that the future is not a matter of chance, but the result of guidance should you open your heart to receive it. You have walked with haste, with burning desires to prove your worth. You have poured out your strength. You have persevered. You have been steadfast, but at times you have forgotten that there is a hand ready to lift you. When the burdens weighed heavily on your shoulders, when the long nights made your heart heavy, you may have felt that no one was listening. But I have been there, sitting beside your silent tears, standing behind every sigh. I have not left you in silence. I have merely waited for the moment when you would pause to hear my voice. For there are words that do not thunder like a storm, but are as gentle as a soft breeze, and they can only be recognized when the soul is still. My child, it is in this stillness that I wish to give you new direction. I want you to know that the danger does not lie in your weaknesses, but in your overconfidence in your own strength. Human strength may endure for a short season, but to go the distance, you need a power that transcends all earthly limits. The days ahead will bring challenges that cannot be measured by reason and cannot be anticipated by your own plans. I have already placed small signs along your path to warn you, but because of the hurried pace of life, you may have passed them without noticing. It may be the unease in your heart when you stand before a decision or a dream that confuses you in the middle of the night, or a fleeting reminder from a stranger. None of these are by chance. They are small bells ringing, awakening your soul to the fact that there is an unseen game being played. If you continue without paying attention, you may fall into a deep pit. But if you stop, listen, and look up, you will see a different path illuminated by fire from heaven. Do not refuse this call, for I do not want to see you lost in the darkness. I want you to walk in the light, to be sheltered, and to see my purpose for your life come to pass. As Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. My child, as I look upon your path, I know that the choices you make today will lay the foundation for tomorrow. There are steps that may seem harmless, but they are bringing your soul closer to the edge of a precipice. And because of my unchanging love, I cannot stand by idly when I see you about to step into the trap that the enemy has set. Do not think that these trials come only from external circumstances. In fact, they stem from a battle in the unseen realm. There are dark powers that have been watching you, not because you are insignificant, but because you carry a value they fear. The seeds I have planted in your heart are what the enemy seeks to destroy, for he knows that if they grow, they will bear fruit for my glory. But I speak to you now that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Isaiah 5:4-1-7. You must recognize this truth so that you do not take these warnings lightly, for vigilance will help you see what the eyes of the world cannot perceive. There are times when you feel weary, when you want to give up, or let the current of life carry you away. In those moments, the voice of doubt will whisper that you are not strong enough, that you are alone, that no one cares about your silent pain. But I am here, and I have seen it all. I see when you stifle your cries to appear strong, I see when you force a smile despite the heaviness in your heart. I know every wound you hide, and I patiently wait for you to bring them to me. Do not hide anything from me, for I have not come to condemn, but to heal. You do not need to perform perfection. What I desire is a sincere heart, a soul that seeks to return. When you fall, I do not turn away. When you are weak, I do not abandon you. On the contrary, I draw closer to help you stand. As Psalm 3:4-1-8 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." You are part of this promise, and for this reason I call you to return before it is too late. The dangers I warn you about are not to make you live in fear, but to help you walk in wisdom. A child learning to walk needs their parents' hand to hold, or they will easily fall. In the same way, your soul needs guidance to avoid the rough paths ahead. If you rely only on your own understanding, you will easily go astray, for this world is filled with lies cleverly disguised. Many things may appear as opportunities, but they are traps in disguise. Many promises may sound appealing, but within them lies bitterness. I want to train you in discernment, so you will not be drawn to everything that glitters. This discernment does not come from books, but from being close to me. Just as a shepherd leads their flock through dark valleys, I too want to guide you through each turn. If you stop and listen, you will recognize my guidance clearer than ever. Do not fear when I ask you to change your course, for this change will not steal your joy, but protect you from something far worse. Do not grieve when I close a door, for in that moment I am opening a better door that you have yet to see. So, my child, be calm in the face of every warning. See it as an opportunity to adjust, not as a death sentence. Every challenge has two sides. One can cause you to stumble, but the other can make you stronger. The decision is yours based on how you respond. If you listen and follow my guidance, you will see that those storms are merely stepping stones bringing you closer to your true purpose. But if you reject it, you will inadvertently open the door to things you do not wish to enter. I have set before you the choice, as it is written in Deuteronomy 30:19. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. I long for you to choose life, to choose the light, to choose the path I have prepared for you. For when you do so, you will not only avoid danger, but you will also step into a new journey full of miracles. My child, let me make it clearer. The call to return is not a limitation, but an invitation to step into true freedom. Many people think they are free when they follow what their eyes see and ears hear, but in reality they are bound by invisible chains. Ambition can chain the soul. Fear can imprison a person in darkness. Temporary pleasures can turn into a persistent trap. I do not want you to fall into these cycles. I want you to experience a freedom that only a steadfast love can bring. This freedom does not mean that you will not face obstacles, but it is the peace of the soul even when storms surround you. Remember the days gone by when you thought everything would collapse, but in the end you stood firm. This was not because of your own strength, but because my hand silently upheld you. Just as a father walks behind a child, learning to walk ready to catch them when they stumble, I have done the same for you many times, without you noticing. If I have kept you in the past, would I abandon you now? If I have led you through treacherous paths, would I stop upholding you in the next leg of the journey? Remember, I am the faithful one from generation to generation. My presence never fades with time, and my love is not limited by your failures or successes. You often look at the circumstances before you and think that it is the entire story, but I see from beginning to end. I know the bigger picture that you have not yet seen. What makes you fearful today may be just the beginning of a glorious journey tomorrow. What brings you to tears today may become a source of comfort for many tomorrow. I do not waste anything. Even what seems meaningless to you, I can weave into a part of a miraculous tapestry. Therefore, do not rush when you do not see the way out. Trust that delay is sometimes protection and disruption may be a gentle reminder. My child, you have often asked, why is this happening? Why must I endure what seems beyond my strength? I hear each of these questions and I do not see them as a lack of faith. On the contrary, I see them as signs that you desire to understand me more. But you must know that some answers will not come immediately. There are truths that are only revealed after you have walked a certain distance. That is why I invite you to hold my hand, rather than relying on the certainty you have drawn for yourself. You do not need to know everything, for I am the one who knows all. As Isaiah 5:9 says, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." When you place your trust in me, you will find rest, even in the mysteries that have not yet been resolved. Let your heart not only listen in a moment, but learn to maintain that listening each day. Do not wait until trouble strikes to seek me, for then your soul will be easily unsettled. Instead, practice my presence through quiet prayer, through moments of stillness, through focusing on what is eternal. Then my peace will flow like a stream nourishing you, even when the land is dry. At that time you will realize that safety does not come from everything going smoothly, but from knowing you are covered by my hand. Therefore, my beloved, do not delay any longer. I am knocking at the door of your heart right now. Every heartbeat is an opportunity for you to choose. I do not promise that you will never face trials, but I promise that you will never have to go through them alone. I do not promise that life's path will always be covered in roses, but I promise that when the thorns cause you pain, my hand will heal and bind up your wounds. Choose to walk with me, for that companionship will change everything. A step with me is always stronger than 1,000 steps alone. My child, when I call you to rise, it is not only for you to escape danger, but also for you to rediscover the purpose that has been hidden. You were not born to live in obscurity. You were created to shine, to become a witness to unchanging love. And if you respond today, you will step into a new path where light illuminates every step, where peace reigns amidst the storm, and where hope becomes a lamp that never goes out. My child, I want to open your eyes to see a reality that many overlook. You are living in a battle that is not just flesh and blood, but a spiritual battle. Every event, every challenge, every obstacle you face is not just random. Behind them, there are invisible forces at work, schemes designed to hinder you from stepping into the calling I have placed before you. Ephesians 6:1-2 affirms, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore you cannot disregard the signals I am giving you. I do not seek to scare you, but I want you to recognize the bigger picture, to prepare to stand firm, and to rely on true strength. There are things you see with your natural eyes that seem like small troubles, a normal conflict, or an insignificant choice. But in the spiritual realm, they can be gateways that open the way for chaos. A seemingly harmless relationship can lead your soul far from the light. A business decision that seems beneficial can lead you into a trap that will drain your soul. A small compromise today can become a chain of bondage in the future. I do not say these things to make you afraid, but to make you cautious. For when you are aware, you will recognize the difference between a step led by me and a step lured by the world. My child, the enemy is very clever. He knows how to turn temptation into opportunity, turn a trap into blessing, and turn destruction into a sweet dream. But when you walk near me, my light will expose everything. What makes you a target is not your weakness, but your value. A destiny has been sown into your heart, and the darkness fears that it will blossom and bear fruit. That is why it seeks to sow doubt, fatigue, and discouragement within you. But my child, remember, I have equipped you with the weapons to stand firm. not weapons of sword and spear, but spiritual weapons, truth, righteousness, peace, faith, salvation, and my word. When you put on these, you will stand strong against every scheme. Never think that you must fight alone. I have promised that I will not leave you alone on the battlefield. As Joshua 1:9 reminds us, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. You can rest in that promise, for my presence is your stronghold. Therefore, my child, understand that the disturbances around you are not isolated events, but links in a greater battle. The enemy wants you to believe that life is just a series of coincidences to make you lose your vigilance. But I tell you that every moment has eternal value, and every choice echoes in the spiritual realm. When you forgive, instead of seeking revenge, you shatter the chains. When you pray instead of complaining, you change the spiritual atmosphere. When you stand firm instead of falling, you become a living testimony that light is stronger than darkness. This is how you participate in the battle, not with your own strength, but in unity with me. My child, the enemy does not come to play. He comes with one purpose only: to destroy what I have planted. He knows that you carry the seed of hope of light and a calling far beyond what you can imagine. That is why he targets you, not because you are weak, but because you are valuable. Your presence in this world is a threat to the darkness, for the light you carry can illuminate and save others. That is why he seeks to sow doubt in your mind. Are you really chosen? Are you really strong enough? Is God really with you? But my child, those are lies, just like he whispered to Eve in the Garden of Eden. He cannot create anything new. He only knows how to distort the truth, turning it into half-truths. If you believe in this, you will be bound. But if you stand firm in the truth, you will be free. As John 8:3-2 promises, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Remember, this battle is not meant to make you afraid, but to reveal what is already within you. A warrior only discovers their true strength when they enter the battlefield. Likewise, you will never know your endurance, resilience, and trust unless you face adversity. I do not allow the enemy to touch you to destroy you, but so that in the battle you will be refined and shine. Just as gold must pass through fire to reveal its purity, so must you go through trials to reveal your true value. What you may see as weakness could be the very opportunity for my power to be perfected. What you may see as a breakdown could be the beginning of a stronger journey. Therefore, do not fear when you are tested. See it as a sign that you are drawing near to the fulfillment of the promise. When you look around and see a world full of chaos, your heart may be easily swept away by anxiety. But my child, I remind you that darkness will never have the final word. Even a small flicker of light is enough to make the long night vanish, and you are part of that light. The enemy knows this, which is why he seeks to extinguish the fire within you. He uses distractions to dull my voice. He uses temptation to lead you astray. He uses accusations to make you forget forgiveness. But do not forget, I have given you the weapons to resist. Every prayer you make is like an arrow piercing through the night. Every verse of scripture you hold on to is like a double-edged sword cutting through the chains. Every act of love you perform is like a flame destroying the enemy's plans. You are not powerless in this battle. You are equipped more than you know. Be courageous, my child. Do not retreat when darkness presses in. Do not be silent when the voice of deceit echoes. Do not give in to the pressure, for there is one more powerful standing with you. As Romans 8:3-1 says, if God is for us, who can be against us? You may be surrounded, but you will not be defeated. You may be tested, but you will not be abandoned. You may be shaken, but you will never be uprooted. For your roots are not in this world, but in me, the Eternal One, the one who holds all things. Therefore walk not in fear, but with the assurance that you are in the safest hands. My child, I want to emphasize that vigilance is not a one-time action but a way of life. It is like an oil lamp that needs to be refueled every day to keep burning. If you only light it for a moment and then neglect it, the flame will gradually die out. But if you regularly draw near to me to receive fresh strength, the lamp will burn steadily and the darkness cannot overpower it. This is why I call you to maintain constant fellowship with me, not through rigid rituals, but with a sincere heart speaking to me in every moment, even the smallest ones. There are times when you think that prayer must be filled with eloquent words, long hours in a holy place. But I tell you, sometimes just a sigh from the depths of your heart, just a whispered, "Father, help me," is enough to move the heavens. Do not underestimate the power of simple words. Do you remember what the scripture says in Psalm 3:4-1-5? The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. It is sincerity that opens the gates of heaven, not the elegance of your words. My child, train your spiritual ears to become sharp. My voice does not always come as a thunderclap, but often in the stillness, in those moments that seem ordinary. It may come when you are walking down a quiet path, when you read a verse, or when you hear a melody. I use many ways to remind you, as long as your heart remains open. A closed heart will miss it, but a waiting heart will always recognize the signs. Do not think that I am distant. In fact, I am always closer than you think. If you are still, you will hear me. But vigilance is not just about listening, it is also about action. When I show you a different path, you must have the courage to walk it, even if it is harder, even if it is not accepted by everyone. When I call you to give up an old habit, you must be willing to let go, even if it is familiar. When I urge you to forgive, you must choose forgiveness, even when the pain is still deep. Vigilance must go hand in hand with obedience, for if you listen but do not act, my voice will gradually grow unfamiliar. But if you listen and follow, you will begin to recognize my guidance more clearly, as if light is shining on a once dark path. My child, remember, vigilance will keep you from the traps. Obedience will open the door to blessings. When you keep your heart soft, you will not be deceived by false lights. When you stand firm in my promises, you will not be swept away by the chaotic currents. And when you trust, you will walk as someone who knows exactly where they belong. That is the key to remaining steadfast in a world full of turmoil. And now I speak to you again, do not fear what lies ahead. Darkness may envelop you, but the light within you will never go out. Storms may rise, but you will not sink. Trials may come, but they will not destroy you. For I am with you. I go before you. I cover you, and I will bring you to the place I have prepared. Stand firm, my child, for this moment is not the end, but the beginning of a deeper journey with me. My beloved, I want you to understand that no decision in your life is meaningless. Every word, every action, every step, whether large or small, carries within it the power to shape the flow of the future. You may think that your choices only affect the present, but in truth they echo into eternity. That is why I have given you the greatest gift, the free will. But along with this gift comes a heavy responsibility. You have the right to choose your direction, and it is your choices that either open or close spiritual doors. Remember, as it is written in Deuteronomy 3:0-19, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses, and I call you to choose life so that you and your descendants may live. Some people view life as a preordained game where they only accept their fate. But my child, I say to you that you are not a victim of a random destiny. You were created to be a co-worker with me in writing your own story. You may not control all circumstances, but you can choose how to respond. You may not stop the storms, but you can choose how to stand in the storm. You may not change how others treat you, but you can choose to keep kindness and forgiveness in your heart. These choices are the most powerful weapons, for they not only affect your life but also break the enemy's plans. The enemy fears souls who know how to stand in truth, for one act of obedience can bring down the strongholds he has built over many years. My child, I know that choosing is not always easy. Sometimes the right thing is the hardest thing to do. Sometimes you must give up what you like to embrace what has eternal value. Sometimes you must go against the crowd, accept being misunderstood, even ridiculed. But remember, I do not call you to please others, but to please me. When you choose to follow my voice, you may lose the fleeting praise of others, but you will gain a lasting affirmation. I see the tears that no one else sees. I recognize the sacrifices that the world will never know, and I will reward you accordingly. As Matthew 6:6 says, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." Everything you do in silence, every decision you make in solitude, I see it. The choice, my child, is not always clear between black and white. Often it comes in the form of things that all seem good, but only one comes from me. It is at that moment that discernment becomes priceless. If you are close to me, you will recognize the difference, just as the shepherd knows the voice of his sheep and the sheep knows the voice of the shepherd. My voice always brings peace, even when it is challenging. My voice always leads you to light, even when it calls you to walk on the narrow path. Do not let the noise of the world blur that clarity. Remember what pulls you away from peace, what causes you to hide, what weighs your heart down with lies. Those things do not come from me. The right choice always comes with freedom and light. Therefore, my child, be cautious with every decision. Do not make choices based merely on momentary attraction. Do not choose just to avoid temporary pain. Think about the long-term consequences, the spiritual impact, and the testimony you will leave behind. Remember, every decision you make today is a seed for the harvest tomorrow. What you sow, you will reap. If you sow forgiveness, you will reap freedom. If you sow kindness, you will reap joy. If you sow obedience, you will reap blessings. I call you to live with a vision beyond what the eye can see, to understand that every small action echoes into eternity. My beloved, I know that entrusting everything into my hands is not easy for you. You are used to controlling things, calculating and solving problems on your own. But that very control often wears you out, for human strength is limited. I do not condemn you for trying, but I want you to understand that there is a better way, the way of surrender. Surrender does not mean becoming passive, nor does it mean allowing life to sweep you along. Surrender means placing all your trust in the one who sees from beginning to end. It is the act of trusting that my hand is strong enough to hold you, wise enough to guide you, and loving enough to never leave you. As 1 Peter 5:7 teaches, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Look back at the times when you carried the weight alone, trying to hold on to everything. You carried fear like a heavy backpack, holding on to worries, as if letting them go would mean losing everything. But I ask you, did that burden bring you peace, or did it only make you more tired? My child, I did not create you to live in constant worry. I created you to live in freedom. Surrender does not take away your dreams. It places them in the hands capable of making them whole. Surrender does not make you weak. It makes you stronger, for when you let go, I will take action. I know you fear that if you give everything to me, you will lose what you hold dear. But my child, I have never taken away something good without giving something better in return. When I close a door, it is not because I want to limit you, but because I know what lies behind that door is a pitfall. When I ask you to stop, it is not to make you delay, but to prevent you from rushing into danger. When I call you to walk another path, it is not because I want to test you meaninglessly, but because that path leads to lasting blessings. I do not work halfway. Everything I arrange is for your eternal good. As Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. My child, surrender is also a form of spiritual freedom. When you still cling to control, you become a slave to fear. But when you place everything in my hands, you are freed from the burden of mastering everything. You are free to live, to love, to walk, without being bound by the obsession with results. For you know that the outcome is in the hands of the one who is more powerful, and your part is to walk in obedience each day. It is this freedom that makes you strong for it, frees you from the pressure to be perfect. You do not need to prove your worth, for your worth is sealed in my love. You do not need to fear getting lost, for I have promised to lead you beside still waters and guide you to green pastures. Surrender is not defeat, but true victory. For when you surrender, you are choosing to stand with the one who never fails. The enemy trembles before a soul that knows how to surrender, for he knows that nothing can shake someone who has placed their full trust in me. A warrior kneeling in prayer has more power than a vast army. A heart that knows how to let go and trust can shift the entire spiritual landscape. And my child, that is what I desire for you, to become someone truly free, strong in weakness, peaceful in the storm, because you know who holds your destiny. My child, when you choose to walk in surrender, not only will your life be transformed, but the generations after, you will also receive blessings. Every act of obedience, whether silent or small, sows seeds for a great harvest that you may not yet see with your natural eyes. Imagine when a father or mother chooses to live righteously, their faith becomes a lamp to guide their children and grandchildren. Likewise, every righteous choice you make today will build the spiritual legacy you will leave behind. This is not wealth that can easily be lost, but an enduring inheritance engraved in eternity. As Proverbs 1:3-2 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children." My child, the greatest inheritance you can leave is a steadfast faith in the unchanging one. I know you often feel that what you do is insignificant. You may think that a small prayer, a quiet act of kindness, a silent act of forgiveness has no meaning. But I say to you, nothing is in vain when done in faith. Every tear you offer me will become rain to refresh the spiritual fields. Every prayer, whispered in solitude, will become a sound in the heavens. Every act of love, though unnoticed by others, will become a brick in the building of my eternal kingdom. Do not underestimate the small things, for it is these that weave together the larger picture. When you are faithful in little things, I will entrust you with much more. Matthew 2:5-3. My child, surrender also opens the door to special protection. When you allow me to lead, my angels will encamp around you. When you obey, you walk on a path covered by heavenly power. No plan of the enemy can succeed when you are sheltered under my wings. But remember, this protection is not imposed. It is activated when you choose to remain in me. Just as a soldier hides behind the great shield of the army, if he steps out of line, he exposes himself to the arrows. You too, if you choose to follow your own will step out of shelter. But if you remain in my arms, you will see the fulfillment of my promise in Psalm 9:11112. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. My child, this is the protection reserved for those who take refuge in me. Surrender not only protects you in the present, but it also transforms you from within. You will realize that anxiety fades, making room for peace. Fear gradually subsides, making way for trust. Bitterness begins to fade, leaving room for forgiveness. And when you change, the atmosphere around you also changes. Your family will sense peace. Those around you will be encouraged by your faith. You will become a guiding light, not because you are perfect, but because you reflect the light of the one who is within you. My child, this is the truth. You are not only called to live for yourself, but to become an instrument of transformation for others. Therefore, choose to surrender wholeheartedly. Do not hold back anything for yourself. Do not cling to things that will fade away. Offer everything, your dreams, plans, fears, disappointments, so that I may transform them into a glorious picture. When you lay everything on the altar, fire from heaven will descend, and what seemed ordinary will become holy. Remember that surrender is not the end, but the beginning of a new journey, a journey of freedom, peace, and eternal purpose. When you do this, you will find that you no longer walk trembling, but with confidence that you belong to me, and nothing can separate you from my love. Romans 8:3-8:3-9. My child, what I want you to understand is this fire never comes without purpose. If I allow it to appear on your journey, it is because it hides a higher purpose within it. When you face the fire, you see fear, but I see refinement. When you see loss, I see liberation. When you think it's the end, I know it's the beginning of a great transformation. Every spark is within my control, and no trial can touch you beyond the limits I permit. This must become the foundation of your faith, so that you do not lose heart when hardship draws near. Remember the small seed in the ground. In order to sprout, it must go through the breaking of its outer shell. This process may seem like death, but in reality, it is the beginning of new life. Your soul is the same. What is old, heavy, and binding will be peeled away through trials, so that the essence, the strength, and the purpose I placed within you from the start may rise. There is no brokenness without meaning when it is in my hands. I turn brokenness into a foundation. I turn loss into an opportunity to show my provision. I turn pain into a classroom to train you to become a bearer of light. And my child, it is in the fire that you will learn lessons that no other place can teach. You will learn patience when the long days grow heavy. You will learn humility when you realize your strength is not enough. You will learn empathy when you see others enduring similar pain. These lessons cannot be bought with wealth or knowledge. They can only be engraved through experience. When you emerge from the fire, you will not only bear scars, but also wisdom and depth. You will be able to lift up others, for you have walked through it and survived. Do not forget that I do not merely want you to survive, I want you to be transformed. I did not create you just to get through today, but to be a witness to my eternal faithfulness. When others see you standing firm after the storm, they will know that it is not by your strength, but by the mighty one who is with you. Your life will become a more powerful sermon than any words could be. They will see in you proof that light is stronger than darkness, and that hope can exist even in the midst of ruin. My child, fire does not come to make you vanish, but to bring you back to your original purpose. I am not afraid of what you call too late or too far gone. With me, nothing is lost that cannot be redeemed. In fact, the very things you think have ended can become the raw material for me to create something new. Just as a potter uses broken clay to mold a new vessel, I can use the broken pieces of your life to create a masterpiece. Trials in the end are not a full stop, but a comma in the story I am writing with you. Be courageous and walk through the fire, trusting that I am still there. Let the fire teach you the lessons that peace cannot. Let hardship shape you rather than destroy you. And let your heart learn to praise, even in the furnace. For in that moment, heaven opens up and blessings are poured out. As James 1:1-2 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." My beloved, I know that when you are in the fire, the promises of transformation can be hard to believe. The blazing fire may make you tremble, and the surrounding darkness may cause doubt. But remember, emotions are not the truth. The truth is that I am still with you, even when you do not feel it. As Isaiah 4:3-2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." This is not an abstract promise, but a commitment I have made to you. You may tremble, but I do not tremble. You may be confused, but I do not change. Even when you think you are alone, I am standing by your side, holding your hand, so that the fire will not consume you. My child, fire does not only burn away what is useless, it also reveals the strength hidden within you. A true warrior is not proven on the practice field, but on the battlefield. A tree's sturdiness is only revealed when the storms blow fiercely. Similarly, your faith's endurance is only proven when it is tested. It is in the fire that you will come to know that you are stronger than you think, for the strength that sustains you does not come from within, but from me working through you. Many times you thought you would fall, but you stood up. Many times you believed you were about to drown, but you overcame. It was not because you are capable, but because I gave you strength. This is the proof that even when you feel weakest, my power is fully revealed. Pay attention. Those who are able to uplift others are often the ones who have endured pain. They know how to comfort because they once needed comfort. They understand because they once suffered. They have patience because they have faced adversity. You too, the trials you face are not just for your own sake, but for the souls you will meet along your journey. The scars you bear today may become the living testimony tomorrow. When someone sits before you shedding tears because they believe no one understands them, you will be able to look at them with compassion and say, "I have been there." And in that moment, you will become an instrument of healing because your trial will have turned into a message. My child, do not let the fire make you bitter. Bitterness is when you see the trial as punishment. But if you view it as an opportunity to learn, it will become a blessing. Do not let suffering close your heart, but allow it to open your heart to love deeper. Do not let loss make you lose faith, but let it teach you to place your trust in what is enduring. The attitude you choose in the fire will determine the outcome. If you choose to trust, you will emerge with a softened heart and shining eyes. If you choose bitterness, you will miss the treasures hidden in the refining process. My child, remember that no one enjoys the fire, but those who pass through it in faith become different, stronger, deeper, and closer to me. You also need to know that fire does not last forever. It is only a season, a phase. When I allow it to come, I have also set the day it will end. No pain is eternal. No trial is endless. Just like the storms pass, the fire too will burn out. When it is over, what remains is your renewed self, pure, steadfast, and radiant. So do not despair when the fire is raging. Look beyond the present, for you will see tomorrow, and then you will understand why I allowed this to happen. My child, nothing is meaningless in my hands. I turn everything, even the bitterest trial, into a foundation for eternal glory. My child, know that after every fire, I do not just want to see you rise, but I want to see you shine brighter than ever. The trial is not to diminish your value, but to engrave your true nature, the nature made in my image. Like a rough diamond that needs to be polished to shine, you too must endure pressure and heat to reveal the hidden beauty within. Without the refining process, the stone would remain a nameless pebble, but once polished, it becomes a precious gem. You are that gem in my hand, and I will not cease to mold you until my light fully reflects through your life. My child, sometimes you look back at the past and see only traces of pain, but I see in it the marks of grace. Every time you fall and rise, it is proof that you are not abandoned. Every time you weep and are comforted, it is proof that my love never runs out. Every time you think you have reached the end but a new strength arises, that is confirmation that I am working within you. These experiences, though painful, become the building blocks of a solid foundation. Upon that foundation, I will build a life that brings encouragement and hope to many. Do you know why I allow even the righteous to go through trials? It is not because I love them less, but because I trust them more. I know their faith will stand firm, and it is that faithfulness that will become a testimony to a whole generation. Just like Joseph in prison, Daniel in the lion's den, and the disciples during persecution, all of them went through the fire. But it is because of this that their stories have been etched forever. My child, your journey too will be written like theirs. What you endure today will become the encouraging story of tomorrow. Do not think that fire only takes away. In truth, it also gives back. It takes away self-sufficiency but returns humility. It takes away the illusion of control but returns trust. It takes away arrogance but returns gratitude. It takes away fleeting things but returns eternal value. This is the divine exchange that you will only understand through the refining process. When you go through it, you will realize that what was lost was nothing compared to what you gained. And one day when you look back, you will say, "The fire did not harm me. It set me free." My child, never let the enemy persuade you that what you are enduring is in vain. He wants you to think that you are simply wasting time, that your suffering brings nothing but emptiness. But the truth is, I am using every tear of yours to water a spiritual harvest. I am using every laborious step you take to pave the way for others. I am using every scar of yours to become a testimony of healing. Not a single moment is wasted, not a single tear is forgotten, and no trial is meaningless. All of it is remembered by me and transformed. And my child, the last thing I want you to engrave in your heart, you will not only survive the fire, but you will emerge with a new identity. You will realize that you are no longer as fearful as you once were, no longer as easily shaken as before, no longer as quick to give up. You will carry a peace that the world cannot take, a stability that storms cannot destroy, a hope that darkness cannot extinguish. You will become a living proof that I am faithful, that trials do not have the final power, and that my love surpasses all things. And you will be the triumphant song that resounds in the dark, testifying that light always prevails. My child, when I say I will restore it, is not just an empty promise, but a certainty sealed by my own faithful nature. The restoration I bring does not merely touch the surface, but goes deep to the very roots of what has been broken. I do not just rebuild the walls that have fallen, but I lay a new foundation more solid and durable. For if I only patch things up, cracks will soon reappear. But when I rebuild, it will stand firm against every storm in the future. Therefore, do not be afraid when I begin to clean up. In your eyes, it may seem like destruction once more, but in truth, it is the process of preparing to build something better. Remember Job, who lost everything, his wealth, his family, his health. But in the end, I restored to him twice as much as he had lost. Job 4:2-10. I do not change, and just as I restored Job, I can restore you. The years that seemed stolen, I can redeem. The dreams that seemed dead, I can resurrect. The relationships that seemed irreparable, I can reconcile. There is nothing beyond my ability, for I am the Almighty, the one who holds the keys to life, death, and renewal. My child, I know in your heart there are wounds so deep that you dare not even touch them. You have covered them with layers of masks, trying to appear strong, so others cannot see your weakness. But I see, and I do not turn away. I do not loathe these wounds. On the contrary, I touch them with the gentlest of love, for I know that only when light touches them will darkness retreat. You may hesitate, but believe that I come not to condemn, but to heal. Let me do my work, for only I can turn those scars into proof of victory. The healing I desire to bring is not just about removing the pain, but also restoring the joy you thought you had lost. I want you to know what it means to smile from true peace, not a forced smile to hide the sorrow. I want to restore the wonder in your soul so that you see beauty in the small things, rather than only feeling the heaviness. I want to restore physical strength so that you walk without growing weary, run without fainting. Just as Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Our restoration is not only for you, but for those around you. When you are healed, you will become a source of comfort to others. When you are restored, your family will also be touched. When you are renewed, your community will benefit. For I have never done anything solely for an individual. I always look at the bigger picture, where the restoration of one person becomes the door for blessings to flow to many. Therefore, let me work in you so that through you I can touch many other souls. So, my beloved, open your heart to receive this season of restoration. Stop looking at the past with regret and look forward with expectancy. I do not want you to be imprisoned by old memories. I want you to step into a new story where the next chapters are written with hope and light. The past may have been tinged with sorrow, but the future will be dyed with glory, and you will be certain that it is I, the one who has kept you through the fire, who also gives you the season of harvest and restoration. My beloved, the restoration I am working in your life is not a fleeting event, but a journey. It is like a garden that has been neglected for many years. It cannot turn into a place full of flowers and fruit overnight. It takes time to pull out the weeds, to improve the soil, to plant new seeds, and patiently wait for the season of sprouting. Likewise, your soul needs to go through stages, pulling out the roots of bitterness, clearing away heavy memories, planting seeds of hope, and waiting for new life to rise. Do not be discouraged when you do not see immediate results, for I am the skillful gardener, and I know exactly when each season will bloom. My child, the restoration process begins with inner healing. You have carried wounds from words, actions, or neglect from others. They are like invisible knives, making you hesitant, closed off, and at times doubting yourself. But I will not allow these wounds to possess your soul forever. I come to bind them up, to dry your tears, to pour oil and wine into the bleeding spots. Just as the Good Samaritan stopped on the road to care for the beaten man, I also stopped for you. I lift you up, place you on my back, and take you to a safe place to heal. Trust that healing is not an illusion, but a reality I want you to experience. But restoration does not stop at healing. It is also about renewal. I do not just take away the pain, I also place peace in its place. I do not just remove the burden, I give you new wings to fly higher. I do not just erase the sad memories, I turn them into powerful testimonies. What once caused you to bow your head in shame, I turn into glory, so that you can lift your head high and say, "The Lord has saved me." This is how I work, not merely mending but recreating. Not just restoring the old, but making all things new. You will no longer be the same person, for the restoration in me always leads to a new, stronger, and brighter identity. My child, I want to remind you that restoration is not just limited to the soul, but also touches the body and circumstances. I am the one who can restore your health, strengthen your bones, and renew your energy like that of an eagle. I am also the one who can open new doors in your work, in your family, and in relationships. You do not need to live in the cycle of past failures. When I say, start over, it is not a return to the starting line, but a step into a new beginning with a firmer foundation. You are not bound by what has passed, for I am the one who says, "Behold, I make all things new," Revelation 2:1-5. My child, you may ask, how do I know that this restoration is truly for me? My child, look at the cross. It is the greatest proof that I not only forgive, but I also restore. When my son died, he not only bore the sins, but also the brokenness of humanity. And when he rose again, it was a guarantee that new life is available for all who believe. Therefore, restoration is not a distant idea, but a truth etched in the course of history, confirmed through the glorious resurrection. This means that you too can rise from the ruins, for the same power that raised Christ is at work within you. My child, I want you to understand that restoration is not just for your comfort, but to bring you into a higher purpose. When you are healed, you will no longer be bound by the past, and you will be ready to fulfill the mission. I do not restore you just to give back what was lost, but to bring you to where I originally intended. Restoration is always linked to commissioning. When you are healed, you will be sent to heal others. When you are delivered, you will be sent to free those still captive. When you are renewed, you will become a voice of hope to those who are still in despair. Do not underestimate what is happening. Even though you may not see the results right now, trust that the seed of restoration has been sown. It is sprouting in silence. And in due season you will see the flowers bloom and the fruit ripen. Do not grow weary. Be persistent, for I am the one who keeps his promises. You will not only be healed, but completely transformed to become a glorious vessel in my hand. My beloved, I want you to understand that restoration is not a fleeting moment, but an ongoing process, a continuous flow from heaven. It is like a river that was once blocked by rocks, but when the obstacles are removed, the waters will overflow, refreshing every dry land. You too, when I remove the old chains, the river of new life will flow through you, bringing vitality not only to yourself, but to everywhere you walk. Restoration does not stop at returning what was lost, but it opens up a new river of blessings so that you become a source of life for many. My child, remember that restoration is not just about emotions, but it also redefines your identity. There are people who once called you by undeserving names: failure, weakness, abandoned. But I call you by a new name: chosen, loved, redeemed. Restoration is when I remove the wrong labels that the world has placed upon you and replace them with the true identity that has been ordained from the beginning of time. From now on, you no longer need to live in guilt or comparison, because you know who you are in me. This gives you confidence not from earthly success, but from being mine, the one who created the heavens and the earth. Restoration also brings you the ability to see life with new eyes. Before, you may have viewed everything through the lens of fear or doubt, but now you will see with eyes of hope. You will see opportunities where you once saw failure. You will see light even in the darkest rooms. You will see my hand even in the smallest details. This is a significant change, because when you change the way you see, you will change the way you live. When you live with a new vision, you will attract new things. My child, I also want you to understand that restoration is not just for the visible parts of life, but also for the hidden corners you've never dared to touch. I want to restore the innocence of the childhood that was lost, the trust that was once betrayed, and the courage that was once extinguished. I want to breathe into you the boldness to dream again, to believe that good things can still happen, to dare to walk, even when you cannot see the full picture. I want to revive within you the joy of living, so that you not only exist, but truly live in abundance. My child, when this restoration is complete, you will see that your life will become a living testimony. Others will look and see that a mighty one has worked for you. They will recognize that this change cannot come from your own efforts, but only from grace. And when they ask, you will have the opportunity to speak about me, the one who heals, who lifts up, who makes all things new. In this way, your restoration will not just be your story, but a means for many others to find hope. My beloved, trust that this journey is never in vain. I have begun a good work for you, and I will bring it to completion. Philippians 1:6. You may not see the full result right now, but be patient. Just as a young sapling needs time to take root before it can grow tall, your restoration also needs time to deeply take root. Do not fear when this process takes longer, for I do everything at the right time. When the season comes, the fruit will appear, and it will be abundant, overflowing, beyond what you ever imagined. My child, you may ask, How do I know that this restoration is truly for me? My child, look at the cross. It is the greatest proof that I not only forgive, but I also restore. When my son died, he did not only carry the sins, but also the brokenness of humanity. And when he rose again, it was a guarantee that new life is available for all who believe. Therefore, restoration is not a distant concept, but a truth etched in the course of history, confirmed through the glorious resurrection. This means that you too can rise from the ruins, for the same power that raised Christ is at work within you. My child, I want you to understand that when I heal and restore, it is not for you to live a comfortable life in the safety of your comfort zone, but for you to be equipped to step into a new journey, a journey carrying a divine responsibility. You were not created to merely exist, but to live with purpose, to become a witness of my love and power. Every prayer you have spoken, every tear you have shed has been a seed sown, and now I want you to step into the season of harvest. My child, there have been days when you asked, "Why is this happening to me?" You did not know that these experiences were preparing you for today. A warrior does not grow in peacefulness, but in days of intense training. A good shepherd is not formed on lush green pastures, but on dark nights guarding the sheep from wild beasts. In the same way, I have used every pain, every fiery trial, and every time you have fallen to shape you. Now you are ready to step into your destiny. My child, destiny is not an abstract idea, but a specific reality. It is the work I have placed before you, the calling I have given you, the mission that only you can fulfill. No one else can replace you. Like an instrument in an orchestra, everyone has their own note. Without your sound, the symphony will not be complete. So do not underestimate your role. Whether it seems small or great, secret or public, it is important in my plan. You may think, "But I am not strong enough, not worthy enough." My child, remember that I do not seek the perfect one. I seek the willing one. When I called Moses, he hesitated because of his speech impediment, but I gave him Aaron to speak with him. When I called Jeremiah, he thought he was too young, but I placed my words in his mouth. When I called Gideon, he saw himself as the weakest, but I turned him into a victor. My child, I will do the same for you. My child, when I send you, I also equip you. I do not send you into battle with empty hands, but I equip you with spiritual armor, truth like a belt, righteousness like a breastplate, faith like a shield, the hope of salvation like a helmet, and my word like a sharp sword. With these weapons you will not be overcome. The enemy will try to make you fear, but remember that I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, to overcome all the power of the enemy. My child, this calling is not just for you to live for yourself, but to be the light to the world. People will see the change in you and know that a living God has worked within you. You will be placed in positions you never expected, meet people you never thought you would encounter, and in those moments I will open your mouth to speak words of encouragement, healing, and prophecy. You will become an instrument to bring others back to the source of life, so do not hesitate any longer. Now is the time for you to rise. Do not look at your weakness, look at my faithfulness. Do not look at your limitations, look at my boundless power. Remember that I am the one who called you, and I am also the one who will keep you until the end. Step forward, for the door is open and your destiny awaits. My beloved, I want you to remember that being called is not just an honorable title, but a sacred responsibility. When I entrust you with a task, it means I trust that you can accomplish it. This trust is not based on your ability, but on the strength I have placed within you. I have given you gifts, experiences, and lessons, all of which become the provisions for your mission. So do not look down on yourself, nor compare yourself to others. Walk in. My rhythm for every step you take is orchestrated by me. My child, you need to know that being sent on a mission will always face opposition. The enemy will never sit idle while you step into your destiny. He will try to sow fear, make you doubt yourself, or wear you down to make you give up. But do not fear, for I have equipped you with spiritual weapons. My word is a double-edged sword, sharp enough to sever all chains. Your faith is a solid shield to block every fiery dart. Your prayers are the key that unlocks treasures from heaven. When you put on the full armor of God, no force can bring you down. My child, the mission I have called you to also requires you to maintain a close relationship with me. Without closeness, you will easily stray. Be like the branch attached to the vine. If separated, it will wither. But if you remain in me, you will bear much fruit. I do not call you to work for me alone, but to live with me. The mission cannot be separated from my presence. The closer you are, the clearer my voice will be, and you will walk with certainty instead of hesitation. My child, another thing you must remember: the mission is a long journey, not a sprint. There will be paths that will drain your strength, but that is when you must learn to rest in me. Do not think that resting is procrastination. Resting in me is replenishing your strength so that you can continue. Do not push yourself to exhaustion, for your own strength cannot last long. It is only by my grace that you can walk sustainably. My child, the mission is not only for the moments when you stand before the crowd, but also in your private moments. When you treat the weak with kindness, when you speak words of encouragement instead of criticism, when you forgive instead of harboring bitterness, all of these are part of your destiny. Often you may think that destiny is only about great deeds, but in reality, it is manifested in the small everyday actions. It is these quiet actions that hold more power to change things than you realize. My child, you will also need perseverance. There will be closed doors, rejections, and moments of loneliness. But do not let these things discourage you. I allow some doors to close, not to disappoint you, but to lead you to a better door. I allow some people to leave, not because you are unworthy, but because they do not belong to the journey ahead of you. Everything is part of my plan. If you persevere, you will see the fruits of faithfulness. Do not forget that the mission is not a solitary journey. I have placed you in the larger body where fellow believers support you. Learn to collaborate, to share burdens, to listen to counsel. When you walk with fellow workers, you will be stronger, for a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. Ecclesiastes 4:1-2. Do not let the enemy isolate you through pride or doubt, but live humbly and bound together, so that we may complete my plan together. As you walk in the mission, carry with you these virtues: faithfulness, courage, discernment, perseverance, and brotherhood. Remember that you not only represent yourself, but you represent me. Every word, every action, every choice you make echoes into eternity. Therefore, walk in reverence and love so that the whole world may see my light through you. My child, the mission is not a short journey, but a lifelong covenant between you and me. When I call you, it is not only to fulfill a temporary task, but for you to live in full relationship with me, and for every step you take to reflect the light of my kingdom. This journey will have its glorious mountaintops and its deep valleys, but in all I am with you. I do not promise that you will avoid the storms, but I promise that you will never face them alone. Remember, destiny is not measured by the fleeting successes that the world praises. It is measured by your faithfulness to the divine calling. You may never see your name in the history books of mankind, but your name is written in the book of life in heaven. You may not receive applause from the world, but the angels in heaven rejoice every time you choose obedience. Remember, true value does not lie in the eyes of the world, but in the gaze of the Creator. My child, there will be times when you are weary, questioning whether you are on the right path. When that happens, I encourage you to return to the quiet place, sit under the shadow of my wings, and let your heart be reminded that I have called you. Do not let pressure cause you to forget your purpose. Do not let criticism lead you astray. Do not let delay make you doubt the promise. As Psalm 27:1-4 teaches, Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. Waiting is not a futile delay, but a time when I strengthen your soul so that when you move forward, you will walk with renewed strength. The mission I give you not only changes your life, but touches the generations to come. Every decision to obey today may open a door for your descendants tomorrow. Every prayer you offer may build a foundation for a whole generation. Every act of love you choose may sow seeds that will bear fruit many years later. Therefore live as though every step you take has eternal value, because it truly does. I see it all, I remember it all, and I reward those who do not grow weary. Do not fear when you see the road ahead full of challenges. It is the challenges that will reveal my strength in you. It is the rejection of the world that will make my love in you shine brighter. It is the long nights that will make the dawn more glorious than ever. Believe that nothing you endure is in vain. I use everything, even the most painful things, to weave a beautiful tapestry. When you look back, you will see that every broken piece, every tear, every sigh has become a stroke in the masterpiece I am painting in your life. Keep your heart soft, for a hardened heart cannot hear my voice. Keep your eyes fixed on me, for only then will you not stray. Keep your hands ready, for I will place in them the work to be done. And keep your feet firm, for you will be sent to places where my light is needed. All I ask of you is not perfection, but surrender. When you surrender, I can do things beyond imagination. My child, this is the final assurance you are not alone in your destiny. I go before you to prepare the way, I go behind you to protect. I walk beside you to uplift, and I am within you to give strength. Trust that I have never and will never leave you. The days ahead may bring storms, but they will also bring miracles. There may be tears, but there will also be joy. There may be trials, but there will certainly be victory. Because the end has been determined, light will triumph over darkness, and life will triumph over death. My child, a calling is not a brief journey, but a lasting covenant between you and me. When I summon you, it is not merely to accomplish a passing task, but that you may live your whole life in relationship with me, and that every step you take may reflect the light of my kingdom. This path will bring glorious mountaintops and deep valleys, but through it all I am with you. I do not promise that you will be spared from the storms, but I promise you will never face them alone. Remember, destiny is not measured by the fleeting achievements that the world applauds. It is measured by your faithfulness to the sacred calling. You may never see your name written in the histories of men, but your name is already inscribed in the book of life in heaven. You may not receive the applause of crowds, but the angels rejoice each time you choose obedience. Never forget, true worth is not found in the eyes of the world, but in the gaze of the Creator. There will be times when you grow weary, questioning whether you are truly on the right path. In those moments, I counsel you to return to the quiet place, to sit under the shadow of my wings, and let your heart remember that it was I who called you. Do not let pressure cause you to forget the purpose. Do not allow criticism to turn you aside. Do not let delays cause you to doubt the promise. As Psalm 27:14 declares, wait for the Lord, be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Waiting is not idle delay, but the season when I strengthen your soul so that when you move forward, you will walk with renewed strength. The calling I entrust to you will not only transform your life, but will also touch the generations to come. Every act of obedience today can open doors for your descendants tomorrow. Every prayer you lift up can lay the foundation for an entire generation. Every act of love you choose can plant seeds that will blossom many years later. Therefore, live as though each step you take carries eternal weight, for indeed it does. I see it all, I remember it all, and I reward those who do not lose heart. Do not fear when you see that the road ahead is filled with trials. It is through those very trials that my strength in you will be revealed. It is through the rejection of men that my love within you will shine most clearly. It is through the long nights that the dawn will be all the more glorious. Believe this, nothing you endure is in vain. I use everything, even the most painful things, to weave together a masterpiece. When you look back, you will see that every fragment, every tear, every sigh has become a stroke in the painting of my work in your life. Understand, my child, that a calling does not begin with great works, but with the small and hidden things of daily life. A prayer whispered in silence, a quiet act of kindness, a word of forgiveness when you have been wronged. These are all part of the calling. Do not think that only when you stand before crowds are you fulfilling my will. At times it is in the secret room, unseen by any other, that you bring about the greatest change. I do not look at outward display, I look at the heart. Therefore do not despise the small steps, for they are the bricks that build the great journey. When I send you, I do not send you empty-handed. I place within you the gifts, the abilities, and the wisdom needed for each season. But remember, gifts are not given for boasting, but for serving. Abilities are not meant to build your own glory, but to exalt my name. Wisdom is not to make you proud, but to make you a source of encouragement to others. Every gift I place within you is meant for the expansion of my kingdom. If you hold them back for yourself, they will wither, but when you give them away, they will multiply. My child, there will be those who do not understand you. They will doubt you, mock you, and even oppose you. Yet remember this, your calling is not measured by human approval, but by my commissioning. When Jeremiah was called, the people did not wish to listen, yet he still had to proclaim my word. When Ezekiel stood before a rebellious people, I told him, whether they listen or fail to listen, they will know that a prophet has been among them. So it is with you. Do not be disheartened if your words seem to fall into silence. Your faithfulness matters more than the response of others. You will discover that at times, darkness may appear stronger than light, and you will question why I allow this. But remember, even the smallest light has the power to drive away the night. It is in the thickest darkness that light shines the brightest. You are not called to avoid the darkness, but to carry light into its midst. As Jesus declared, you are the light of the world. Do not fear the darkness, for it only serves as the backdrop against which my light within you will blaze all the more gloriously. Keep your heart tender, for a hardened heart cannot hear my voice. Keep your eyes fixed on me, for only then will you not lose your way. Keep your hands ready, for I will place in them the work that must be done. And keep your feet steadfast, for you will be sent to the places where I desire my light to shine. All I require of you is not perfection, but surrender. For when you yield, I can accomplish through you things beyond imagination. Beloved child, I also remind you that this calling is not for you alone, but for you to walk alongside others. I will place co-laborers by your side to lift you up and share the burden. Just as Moses had Aaron and Paul had Timothy, so too will I prepare those who will journey with you. Do not strive to walk this road alone, for you were never created for isolation. When you join with others in love and unity, strength multiplies and my glory shines brighter still. And here is my final assurance, you are not alone in your destiny. I go before you to prepare the way, I follow behind to guard you. I walk beside you to uphold you, and I dwell within you to strengthen you. Trust that I have never left you and will never abandon you. The days ahead may bring storms, but they will also bring miracles. There may be tears, but there will also be joy. There may be trials, but there will surely be victories. For the outcome has already been decreed. Light will triumph over darkness, and life will conquer death. My child, when I send you, I do not merely assign you a task, I also bestow upon you a new identity. You are no longer just an individual seeking meaning, but my messenger carrying the message of the kingdom into the midst of humanity. This means that every word you speak, every action you take, Every decision you make becomes a testimony of my presence. The world may despise it or count it as small, but in the spiritual realm, each step resounds like a trumpet, announcing the movement of my heavenly kingdom. Walk with the awareness that you are a bearer of light, and that light does not come from you but from me. Understand, my child, that this identity carries responsibility. One who is given power without responsibility easily grows arrogant. One who is given responsibility without power easily falls. But I grant you both the power of the Spirit and the responsibility of faithfulness. When I place gifts within you, I expect you to guard them with humility. When I give you words of strength, I expect you to use them to build up, not to tear down. When I entrust you with influence, I expect you to lead others closer to me, not closer to yourself. For once you forget that you are but a vessel, you risk losing the very purpose of your calling. My child, there will be times when you feel the calling is too heavy, like a burden far beyond your strength. Yet I remind you that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What wearies you is not because I have placed too much upon you, but because you try to carry what I never asked you to bear. Learn to discern what responsibilities I have entrusted to you and what burdens you have placed upon yourself. Dare to lay down the expectations of others, the pressures created by society, and hold fast only to what I have called you to. Then you will see that the calling is no longer a chain, but a joy. My child, on this journey, trials are indispensable. Do not think that I have abandoned you when you face hardship. Rather, trials are the proof that you are walking on the right path. Just as gold can only be refined through fire, so too your soul is refined through adversity. Every time you face opposition, it is an opportunity for your faith to be strengthened. Every time you overcome temptation, it is evidence that my love within you is stronger than darkness. Do not run from trials. Face them with the confidence that I stand with you. And when you look back, you will see that the darkest days became the very places where my presence shone most brightly. You will discover that the calling does not always follow a straight path. At times I lead you into dead ends, not to abandon you, but to teach you that the only way out is through me. At times I cause you to walk in circles, not because I have lost the way, but because you need to learn certain lessons before reaching the destination. At times you may think you are being delayed, but in truth I am preparing something far greater than you can yet imagine. Just as the people of Israel spent 40 years in the wilderness before entering the promised land, so must you also walk through a season of preparation in order to learn how to rely completely on me. My child, remember that the calling is never solitary. I have designed you to walk within community, and I will send companions to you. They will lift you up when you are weak, encourage you when you are weary, and remind you when you stray. At the same time, I will also place beside you those who need to be lifted by you. They will find hope in your words, comfort in your embrace, and guidance through the example of your life. Do not wait until you are perfect before you dare to help others, for it is in your weakness that the comfort you give becomes truly genuine. You must also recognize that the calling is not only about what you do, but about who you become. I do not simply want you to complete a task. I want you to be transformed. The calling is a furnace shaping you into the likeness of the Savior. Every act of surrender, every choice of humility, every time you choose love instead of hatred, all of these shape you. Do not think that success is measured only by outward achievements. True success is when you increasingly reflect my image more clearly with each passing day. My child, never forget that your most powerful weapon is not eloquent speech nor clever strategy, but prayer. It is in prayer that you are connected to the inexhaustible source of strength. It is in prayer that you hear my voice more clearly. It is in prayer that you find peace in the midst of the storm. If you neglect prayer, you will soon run dry. But if you persevere in it, you will find that no circumstance can overthrow you. Pray not only for yourself, but also for the souls you meet along the way, for the true foundation of the calling is intercession. And my child, I want you to know that the calling reaches beyond this life, it echoes into eternity. What you do today may not be immediately recognized by people, but it will sow a sacred legacy. A single word you speak may touch a child, and years later that child may rise to transform an entire nation. A simple act of love may rescue a soul from despair, and through that soul many generations of faithfulness will spring forth. You cannot measure the full impact of your calling, for it is not confined by time or space. Finally, my child, always remember that the calling does not arise from your own strength, but from my unchanging love. I loved you before you ever did anything for me, and that love does not shift whether you fail or succeed. The calling is simply my invitation for you to take part in my eternal plan, so that you may discover true joy in living according to the purpose for which you were created. Do not be anxious about what you have not yet accomplished. Instead, focus on faithfulness each day. When you are faithful in the little things, I will entrust you with greater ones. When you are faithful in the hidden place, I will honor you in the light. And when you remain faithful until the end, you will hear these words from my own lips. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. My beloved child, the journey of the calling upon your life is not only meant to reach others, but also to reveal me to the world. The world does not need more empty philosophies or shallow advice. What it truly longs for is to witness a life transformed by the presence of the living one. You are the living letter that I myself have written for all to read and come to know me. Not everyone will read the scriptures, not everyone will enter a church, but they will look at your life, how you love, how you forgive, how you endure, how you hope, and through that they will come to know of me. Therefore, the calling is not only the message you proclaim, but your very being expressed in the way you live each day. My child, I call you to be a lamp placed on a stand, not hidden under a basket. Do not fear that your light will trouble others. Light may expose the darkness, but that is its very purpose. Some will resist, some will turn away. Yet there will also be those who find hope through the light you carry. Do not lower the standard, merely to be accepted. Do not extinguish your flame for fear of rejection. The calling does not summon you to blend into the crowd, but to stand firm amidst the darkness, so that many may be led to the way. My child, the calling cannot be separated from sacrifice. There is no glory apart from the cross. You are not called to a life of ease, but to walk the narrow way. You will have to surrender what the world deems precious. You will have to choose the path few take, and at times you will feel alone. Yet within that sacrifice you will find complete joy. As Jesus declared, "Whoever wants to follow me must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me." See sacrifice not as loss, but as seed sown that will bear eternal fruit. My child, I know there are times when you want to give up. The burdens, the wounds, the disappointments may cause you to think that moving forward is pointless. But I remind you that I have not called you only to abandon you. I am the one who began the good work in you, and I will bring it to completion. Do not measure the success of your calling by immediate results, for some seeds take years before they sprout. Trust that every tear you shed is recorded by me, every silent prayer is heard by me. None of your sacrifices are in vain, for I transform them all into fruit in their appointed season. My child, guard humility in every step. The calling does not place you at the center, but it places me there. Do not allow pride to creep in when you see miracles happen or when you receive admiration. Always remember that all you have comes from me. Paul, though used mightily, called himself an unworthy servant. Moses, though he led an entire nation, described himself as slow of speech. So you too must carry gratitude and humility, that the glory may always belong to me. When you humble yourself, I will lift you up. When you exalt my name, I will honor you in the time I have appointed. My dear child, the calling also requires perseverance. There will be seasons of abundant harvest, but there will also be seasons when you must patiently sow without yet seeing results. Do not be discouraged when you cannot yet perceive change, for the work of the Spirit is not always revealed immediately. Just as the farmer patiently waits for the rains, so you too must remain steadfast in prayer and service. I want you to understand that faithfulness is more valuable than speed, and perseverance is more precious than haste. Keep walking, keep sowing, keep loving, for I have promised that those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. My child, I also want you to know that the calling is a journey of joy. It is not only filled with trials and tears, but also with unexpected miracles. You will witness the blind receiving sight, the chained being set free, the hopeless finding hope. You will see your prayers transform circumstances, and you will watch a drowning soul rescued by my love shining through you. Each of these moments is a reminder that your steps are not in vain and that I am still at work. The joy of the calling does not come from favorable circumstances, but from knowing that you are living in the very purpose for which you were created. Remember, my child, the calling does not end when you achieve a milestone, but only when you step into eternity. Until that day, you are still on the journey, still learning, still growing. Do not think you have arrived simply because you have come far. Remain humble, continue to listen, continue to learn, and continue to be renewed. The calling is a lifelong path, and only when you see me face to face will you truly complete it. Finally, my child, hold firmly to hope. I know the world is filled with chaos, injustice, and evil that seems to prevail, yet I call you to see beyond what your eyes perceive. I have promised that in the end, light will overcome darkness. Life will swallow up death, and my kingdom will be revealed over all the earth. Your calling is only a small part of this great plan, but it is immeasurably important. When you remain faithful in your portion, you are contributing to the grand tapestry I am weaving. Let this hope uphold you, so that even when storms rise high, you will know that the outcome has already been secured. Beloved child, remember this final promise: I will never leave you. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk behind you to shield you. I walk beside you to encourage you, and I dwell within you to give you strength. The calling may lead you to unfamiliar places, but you will never be lost. The calling may place you in great trials, but you will never be alone. I am the faithful one, and I will complete every good work I have begun in you. Be strong, for the future into which you are stepping is not merely an ending, but a glorious beginning in my eternal presence. And now, my child, please fold your hands and offer this prayer to the one who has been with you through countless trials until the final day of glory. Dear Heavenly Father, today I come before you with a trembling heart but full of hope. I look back at the journey I've walked, and I can clearly see your hand has never left my life. Though I have walked through the fire, endured long nights filled with tears, and at times felt there was no way out, you were still there, guarding, supporting, and gently whispering to my soul, "Do not fear, I am with you." Those words have become the strength for me to keep moving forward, not to fall in the midst of darkness. Father, there have been days when I doubted myself, thinking I was not strong enough, not holy enough, not worthy of your love. But you have shown me that your love is not based on perfection, but on an eternal covenant. You did not forsake me in my failure. You did not reject me in my weakness, but you drew closer to embrace me. I bow my head in gratitude, for only that eternal love has freed me from shame and lifted me up after countless falls. Father, I thank you that the refining fire did not consume me, but instead it purified me. What I thought would end became the stepping stone for my growth. I realize that it is in the fire that I have learned patience, humility, and empathy. It is in loss that I have learned to cherish what is truly valuable. It is in the darkest nights that I have seen your light shine brighter than ever. You have used suffering to train me, used adversity to shape me, and used scars to turn them into testimonies. Father, I thank you that you did not only allow me to pass through the trials, but also gave me restoration. You've wiped away my tears, healed my wounds, and returned to me the joy I thought I had lost. I feel your love like rain falling on dry ground, reviving my soul. I once thought my dreams had died, but you breathed new life into them, causing them to rise again. You turned mourning into dancing, turned weeping into joyful song. Truly, there is no restoration like the restoration from you, Father. Father, now I stand before you not only as one who has been saved, but as one who is sent. I understand that healing is not just for me to live for myself, but for me to become an instrument of your glory. Please, Father, ignite a fire in me that will never go out, so that I will always be ready to walk in the destiny you have ordained. Give me the courage to not fear the ridicule, opposition, or misunderstandings. Give me faithfulness to continue sowing seeds, even when I do not see the fruit. Give me discernment to know which doors you have opened and which are traps from the enemy. Give me perseverance so that I do not grow weary when the road becomes narrow. Father, I pray that I never forget that I do not walk alone. You go before me to prepare the way. You go behind me to protect. You walk beside me to support, and you are in me to give strength. Help me to maintain a close relationship with you, so that your voice is always my compass. Help me to know when to stop and listen to your whispers rather than chasing the noise of the world. Help me to kneel in prayer, for I know that only there will I receive true guidance. Father, I do not only pray for myself, but for my family, for my community, for the generations to come. Restore broken relationships, heal the wounds in my family, and make our home a place filled with love. Use my life to sow seeds of faith for my descendants, so that they may grow up in the fear of you. Open the eyes and hearts of those I meet on this journey, so that through my words and actions I may reflect your light. Father, I know I will face trials, and there will be days of weariness. But please do not let me forget that these trials are also part of your training plan. Help me not to grow bitter, but to give thanks. Help me not to despair, but to hope. Help me not to give up, but to stand firm. Let me remember that every wound can become a testimony of you, and every tear is recorded by you to become a seed of blessing. Father, teach me to forgive those who have hurt me, so that my heart is not bound in bitterness. Teach me to forgive myself, so that I am not chained by guilt. Teach me to love as you have loved. A love that is patient, kind, does not seek its own, is not proud, and keeps no record of wrongs. May that love become the driving force for everything I do. Father, I entrust the future into your hands. I do not know what tomorrow will bring, but I know the one who holds tomorrow. I do not know where the path will lead, but I know the one who always leads faithfully. Please continue to write the story of my life, not according to my own will, but according to your good will. Give me the humility to say, as your Son said, "Not my will, but yours be done." Father, I know the destiny is not easy, but I am certain the reward is glorious. You have promised that if I remain faithful until the end, I will receive the crown of life. Keep my heart steadfast, that I do not lose sight of my purpose amid the distractions of this world. Help me remember that everything I do today echoes into eternity, and let me live as one who knows they are building an imperishable spiritual legacy. Father, in those moments when I feel weak, please strengthen me. When I am confused, grant me wisdom. When I tremble, give me peace. When I am exhausted, hold me in your arms. I do not want to take a step without your presence. I do not want to make a decision outside of your guidance. Be my compass, the light that guides my steps, the refuge when the storms arise. Father, I know that this prayer is not the end, but the beginning of a new journey, the journey of one who is restored, sent, and lives fully in their divine destiny. Let each day of mine become a song of praise that my entire life reflects your goodness. Let every breath I take be a thanksgiving. Let every step I take bear the marks of the Redeemer. Father, I offer this heart to you, not perfect but sincere. Please accept it, mold it, transform it, and use it for your glory. I am confident that one day when I stand before your throne, I will hear those words, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord." That is the greatest reward I desire. Amen. Thank you for listening to this message today. Please click subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue to receive these living words, build strong faith, and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.